People in Egypt's two largest cities and other areas are going to the polls in a series of runoff elections for parliament, with Islamist parties expected to build on strong results from the first round of voting last week. The runoff elections in Cairo, Alexandria, and 7 other provinces began Monday and end Tuesday. They will determine the winners of 52 seats in Parliament's 498-member lower house. Only 4 candidates won seats in the last week's first round by securing more than 50% of the votes in their constituencies. Almost half of the runoff elections are a contest between Egypt's two main Islamist groups, the Muslim Brotherhood's Freedom and Justice Party and the ultra-conservative Salafist Noor Party. And now for more perspective on the developments in Egypt, we are joined by VOA's Mohamed Elsinnawi, who recently returned from there. Welcome to In Focus, Mohamed.
Thank you, Vincent.
Now, first, just give us a sense of the mood that you felt as you were in the ground amongst the people.
Actually, people were not so optimistic about the future because 10 months have passed without achieving the goals of the 25th of January revolution. Nevertheless, they thought that elections would at least pave the way or the road for the SCAF, the military council who is running Egypt after Mubarak, to pass over power to civilian government. The elections didn't really come up with something that's reassuring, because we have now almost 65% of the vote going to Islamist parties. First, the Muslim Brotherhood, 36%, then Al-Noor Salafi, 24%.
And this is what is baffling many minds across the world. Why are these two parties, the Brotherhood and the Salafist Noor Party, getting so much prominence in Egypt, in the new Egypt?
Well, for Muslim Brotherhood, it never came as a surprise. They said they will, from the very beginning, they will get between 30 and 40, so they are very close to the mark they assigned for themselves. The real surprise was the Salafis, who have never been a political force in Egypt, to come second with 24%. This is scary for some people, because Salafis in Egypt are the Egyptian version of the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia, and people are scared, especially the minorities, or the minority, the Coptic minority, and liberals, because they don't want strict Sharia laws to be enforced on them.
But when you think about voters, people imagine more of the youth are voting, and they're the ones who really engineered the revolution in Egypt. Why have they put their trust more in these more conservative parties than the liberal parties?
Well, the media in Egypt will tell you that the turnout is a reflection of people yearning for democracy. That's not exactly the correct explanation, because the military council put a fine of 500 Egyptian pounds on anyone that doesn't show up. So a lot of people went just to avoid paying this fine.
So voting was compulsory? I mean, if you don't turn up,
exactly,
you can be fined.
So this kind of people that went without knowing whom they are running, whom they will be picking, were easily manipulated by people around the polling stations, telling them, vote for these people, Salafis, to retain our real Islam.
Now, very quickly, there was this controversy over the military injecting in the new constitution a kind of a clause that would give them more power. How has that up to now been received by general Egyptians?
Well, Egyptians rejected that from the very beginning, and that was the main reason they went back to Tahrir Square on November 18th when I was there, and people felt that democracy would tell you that people are the source of power, not the army. The army was trying to be a country or a state inside the state, and that's now being rejected. They have an alternative plan. People are talking, analysts are talking about a secret deal between the Islamists and the SCAF. We will give you the parliament, and you let us define who will be the next president, and they are already putting a former general running into the presidential election.
There's always something going on behind the scenes, and the military looks like wants to stay in the game.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for joining us today here on In Focus.